Have you ever found yourself lying in the stillness of the night, staring at the ceiling? As your mind runs wild, like a river that refuses to settle? Thoughts like shadows chase each other in circles, endlessly running through the maze of regrets, forgotten tasks, and fears about the future. You may feel the weight of your tired body, longing for rest. Yet sleep stays just out of reach. The harder you try to grasp it, the more it slips through your fingers, like sand in the wind. And yet, you're not alone. There are millions of souls who lie awake just like you, trapped in the same restless cycle. The body aches for respite, but the mind fights it. It spins and churns, like an unyielding storm, refusing to quiet. The more we fight it, the more tangled we become. The more we try to fix the restless thoughts, the deeper the exhaustion grows. It feels like we're walking in circles, searching for something that remains just beyond the horizon. You may have searched for answers. Maybe you've turned to sleeping pills, soothing music, or even distractions to fill the silence. Yet, in the stillness of the night, none of these seem to work. They bring no lasting peace, only temporary relief, before the cycle begins again. But what if the answer is not in doing more, not in forcing sleep or drowning the thoughts? What if the key lies in letting go? Let me tell you something, and listen carefully. The secret to rest is not in the absence of thoughts, but in the presence of peace within. You see, the Buddha he said something profound: peace comes from within. Do not seek it without. It's a truth that resonates deeply within the very core of Buddhist teachings. Peace, true peace, is not something we can chase, something we can control. It is something we invite. A gift, if we allow ourselves to receive it. You may wonder, how? How do we invite peace into our restless hearts? How do we let go of the worries that steal our rest? I'll share with you a practice, ancient yet timeless, that has helped countless souls find their way back to peace. Tonight, rather than battling your thoughts, rather than struggling against the waves of restlessness, what if we took a different path? A path where we embrace stillness, where we lean into presence, where mindfulness becomes the gateway to rest. This path has been walked by many before us. And now, it is your turn. So, take a deep breath. Let go of the weight of today. Trust that you can lay your burdens down, if only for this moment. In this space, we'll begin a journey together, one that will guide you through the gentle art of releasing, of surrendering, and allowing your body and mind to rest in peace. Let us begin this journey, step by mindful step, towards a night of true, restorative sleep. Understanding why we struggle to sleep. Our minds, especially as we grow older, are often filled with the weight of unprocessed emotions, regrets, and unresolved concerns. The Buddha's teachings on attachment and craving shed light on why sleep is so often elusive. These mental patterns, attachments to thoughts and experiences, trap us in a loop that keeps the mind constantly agitated. Like the restless waves of the ocean, these thoughts relentlessly crash against our consciousness, making it nearly impossible to settle down and experience peace. As we reflect on the farmer's story, we realize that the challenge isn't just about finding practical solutions to our problems. It's about changing our relationship to them. The farmer sought the Buddha's help for his sleepless nights, thinking that his struggles were the cause of his suffering. But the Buddha showed him that peace doesn't come from solving every problem in life, it comes from learning not to be consumed by them. The more we try to control everything, our health, our relationships, our responsibilities, the more restless we become. Life's unpredictability is not a cause of suffering but an inevitable part of the human experience. Accepting that there will always be something to worry about allows us to stop attaching to every concern as if it's a life or death issue. This is where the practice of mindfulness, a key Buddhist teaching, becomes invaluable. Instead of chasing after a perfect, worry-free life, we must learn how to find peace amidst the chaos. Margaret's example illustrates how simple practices can help us manage these intrusive thoughts. By consciously choosing to let go of her worries before bedtime, Margaret was able to break the cycle of restless nights. Instead of holding on to thoughts and fears, she allowed them to pass by like clouds in the sky. A metaphor that can transform our sleep patterns. Just like Margaret, we can train ourselves to pause before allowing our minds to spiral into worry. The Buddhist practice of observing our thoughts without attachment, simply watching them rise and fall, provides us with the key to unlocking restful sleep. When we stop trying to fix everything, we make room for peace. The power of letting go. Letting go is one of the most profound practices in Buddhist teachings, and it can transform the way we approach sleep. The simple act of releasing our attachment to thoughts can make all the difference in how we sleep. The monk's response to his student about folding his robe and thoughts before bed highlights how important it is to prepare the mind for rest by letting go of the mental clutter accumulated throughout the day. Eleanor's experience is another powerful reminder of how we can stop carrying unnecessary burdens. Every night, she was consumed by thoughts about her daughter, her health, and the future. These thoughts weighed heavily on her, preventing her from experiencing peaceful rest. It wasn't until she began writing them down and acknowledging them without attaching emotional weight that she started to find relief. The practice of writing down worries or thoughts before bed is not about solving them. It's about giving them space to exist, acknowledging them, and then consciously choosing to set them aside. This practice can help to close the door on the day's worries, allowing us to enter a state of mental and emotional stillness that is conducive to sleep. When we let go of our attachment to outcomes, we stop clinging to the illusion of control. Letting go isn't about ignoring our worries, it's about understanding that we don't need to carry them with us at all times. Just as we trust the world will continue to turn, we can trust that we will have another chance to address our concerns tomorrow. The act of letting go, especially before sleep, can become a beautiful ritual, one that helps us enter a state of mindfulness and presence. By making this a nightly practice, we signal to the body and mind that it is time to rest, not to fix or resolve, but to surrender and restore. The breath as a gateway to sleep. The breath is a powerful tool in Buddhist practice. Not just for meditation, but for creating a peaceful transition from wakefulness to sleep. Breathing, when practiced mindfully, helps us ground ourselves in the present moment. In times of restlessness, focusing on the breath can be the bridge that connects our body to the present. It breaks the cycle of overactive thoughts and creates space for calm and relaxation. Haruto's story demonstrates how focusing on the breath can quiet the mind. For years, Haruto struggled with sleepless nights, overwhelmed by racing thoughts. But when he turned his attention to his breath, everything changed. Instead of fighting his thoughts, he gently brought his awareness to the rhythm of his breathing. Each inhale and exhale became an anchor, guiding him toward stillness. This simple act allowed him to enter a state of deep relaxation. And for the first time in years, he experienced peaceful, uninterrupted sleep. Breathing is always with us, yet we often fail to notice its importance. When we're anxious, our breath becomes shallow and rapid, which in turn exacerbates our stress. However, when we practice deep breathing, slow, mindful, and intentional, it sends a signal to the nervous system. A signal that we are safe, calm, and at ease. This activates the parasympathetic nervous system, which helps us shift from the fight or flight response to a state of relaxation. By connecting with our breath, we are also able to connect with the present moment. Our worries, fears, and anxieties often come from either the past or the future. The breath, however, exists only in the now. By focusing on the breath, we bring our attention away from the past and future, allowing our minds to rest in the present. One of the simplest yet most profound practices for sleep involves mindful breathing before bed. Haruto's experience with his Buddhist monk friend is a reminder. When we stop trying to control everything, our thoughts, our worries, and even our sleep, we allow ourselves to be led by the natural rhythm of life. Through mindful breathing, we invite the body and mind to relax and settle into a peaceful sleep. The mindfulness body scan for deep relaxation. As we explore the practice of the mindfulness body scan, we uncover how profoundly it can impact both our physical and mental states. At its core, this technique invites us to shift from a state of striving, whether it's to fall asleep or control our thoughts, into a state of acceptance. The mindfulness body scan is not about forcing ourselves into rest. Rather, it is about creating the conditions where rest can emerge naturally. Much like a serene pond that reflects the moon once it has settled. This Buddhist technique is deeply rooted in the philosophy of present moment awareness. Instead of forcing the mind to quiet or compelling the body to relax, we approach relaxation gently, using the body as a tool for grounding. The body scan works by directing our awareness to specific areas of the body, observing any tension, discomfort, or sensations without judgment. This practice creates a deep connection between mind and body, allowing both to settle into stillness. For example, Robert's story illustrates this beautifully. For years, Robert had been battling sleeplessness, trying everything from warm milk to medications, but nothing seemed to calm his restless mind. It wasn't until he encountered a meditation teacher who guided him through a simple, mindful action that things began to shift. Holding a cup of tea and focusing on the sensations, the warmth, the weight, the steam rising, helped Robert ground himself in the present moment, allowing his breath to deepen and his mind to slow. The key here is the awareness of sensory experience. By focusing on what is present and tangible, such as the feeling of warmth in our hands or the rise and fall of our breath, we create space for the mind to let go of its racing thoughts. This is similar to the body scan, where we direct our attention to various parts of our body, starting from the toes and moving upwards, allowing each area to soften and relax. The process of scanning the body and gently releasing tension in each area teaches us how to relax without effort. The body becomes a canvas for mindfulness. Just as a still pond naturally reflects the moon, our calm, relaxed body becomes a reflection of peace, inviting sleep naturally. This shift from tension to relaxation is a profound way to cultivate a restful state. Embracing sleep as a spiritual practice. Sleep, in Buddhism, is viewed as more than just a necessary physical function. It is an opportunity for spiritual renewal. Much like meditation, sleep offers a chance to reset the mind and body, letting go of the stresses accumulated throughout the day. The Buddhist teachings remind us that rest is an essential act of self-care, not an indulgence to be dismissed. A common misconception many people, especially as they age, have about sleep is that it is a waste of time, or an obstacle to productivity. However, when we push ourselves too hard, whether in work or in trying to stay awake for personal growth, we risk draining ourselves emotionally, mentally, and physically. Balance is the key, as emphasized in the Zen story of the young monk. If a bowstring is pulled too tightly, it will snap. If it's too loose, it won't work. This is a powerful reminder of the necessity of balance between work, rest, and spiritual practice. The monk learned that overexerting himself in an attempt to be closer to enlightenment wasn't the way. In fact, it was depleting him. Just as the monk discovered the need to find balance, so too must we find a balance between action and rest in our lives. The Buddhist teaching to rest your body, rest your mind highlights that sleep isn't a waste of time. Instead, it is a spiritual practice that rejuvenates our soul, much like meditation does. Rest is a way to honor ourselves, to honor the natural rhythm of life, where moments of action are followed by moments of renewal. When we approach sleep as a spiritual practice, we can invite it with patience and trust rather than forcing it. Much like meditation, where we allow our minds to quiet without resistance, sleep can be approached with gentleness and acceptance. Maria's story is a perfect example of this. Maria had spent her life living by the clock, constantly striving to achieve more and keep up with expectations. But as she aged, she found herself lying awake at night, consumed by thoughts of regrets, fears, and uncertainties about the future. One evening, Sitting under the moonlight, Maria reflected on a piece of wisdom her grandmother had shared. The moon does not rush to rise. The sun does not hurry to set. Yet, they are always on time. Maria's acceptance of the natural flow of life without force or struggle allowed her to finally approach sleep differently. She stopped demanding that sleep come on command, choosing instead to welcome it like an old friend. By whispering, "I trust my body knows how to rest," she allowed herself to simply be, without expectation or pressure. This trust in her body's ability to rest created the perfect conditions for sleep to emerge naturally. She didn't force it, she allowed it to come to her, just as we would allow a dear friend to arrive at their own time. This spiritual approach to sleep invites us to see sleep not as something we must conquer, but as an essential act of surrender. By surrendering the need to control our rest and instead embracing it with trust and openness, we allow our minds and bodies to naturally release the tension of the day and settle into the rhythm of peaceful slumber. In our modern world, we are often conditioned to see sleep as a necessary evil, something to be conquered so we can wake up and do more. But when we view sleep as a spiritual practice, we change our relationship with it. Sleep is not something that steals our time, it restores us, preparing us for the work we will do when we awaken, full of energy, clarity, and peace. Setting an intention for restful sleep. Setting an intention before sleep is a practice. It directly taps into the power of the mind to guide our bodies into a restful state. Intentions, when thoughtfully articulated, shift our mindset and energy. By setting a simple phrase or affirmation before sleep, we create a mental anchor that helps ease the transition from an active, often restless mind to a more peaceful, receptive state. A statement like, "Tonight, I offer my body deep rest. May I wake with clarity and peace. I release this day with gratitude. Tomorrow will unfold as it should. I surrender to the rhythm of nature. My rest is part of the flow of life," serves as both a mental cue and a spiritual offering. It acknowledges the end of the day, the need for rest, and the trust that sleep will come naturally. By expressing gratitude and releasing the need to control tomorrow, we actively invite sleep rather than force it. In Buddhism, the practice of mindfulness is central. This includes mindful waking as well, where we set the tone for the day by being present from the very first moments after we open our eyes. Instead of immediately reaching for our phones or diving into the distractions of the world, we can pause for a moment and affirm our intention for the day ahead. This practice of mindful awakening helps us greet each day with clarity, purpose, and presence. In the monasteries of Thailand, monks begin each day by acknowledging the gift of life and affirming their intention to live with wisdom and kindness. These simple words, "I am alive today. This is a gift. May I live with wisdom and kindness," reflect a deeply rooted Buddhist practice of appreciating life as it is, acknowledging the sacredness of each moment, and setting a mindful, positive tone for the rest of the day. What if we adopted a similar practice each morning? Before we rise, we could whisper to ourselves, "I have been given another day. May I move through it with peace. I am grateful for this body that carries me. May my actions today bring joy to myself and others." This intentionality transforms the way we approach our mornings, helping us avoid rushing into the busy demands of life, and instead, guiding us toward a mindful, peaceful start to the day. Thus, setting intentions for sleep and waking mindfully becomes a spiritual act. It invites tranquility and acceptance into our lives. When we consciously shift our focus from resistance and striving to embracing rest and presence, we open ourselves to greater peace not only when we sleep but in every aspect of our lives. By integrating these practices into both the end of the day and the start of a new one, we cultivate a sense of spiritual harmony that aligns us with the natural rhythms of life. Awaken to a new way of sleeping. In Buddhist teachings, surrender is a central practice, and it can also be applied to our relationship with sleep. Sleep, like everything in life, is not something we can control by force. It is not something we can demand or rush. Sleep is natural, nourishing, and essential. But the more we try to chase it, the more elusive it becomes. By recognizing that sleep is not something to chase, but something to welcome, we can change our approach. When we stop struggling, we give ourselves permission to relax into the moment. This mindset transforms sleep into a gentle invitation rather than a task to accomplish. When we soften into the present moment, releasing the burdens of the day, we begin to create the perfect conditions for restful sleep. Ask yourself, what can I release tonight to invite peace? This question guides us to evaluate the weight of our thoughts, emotions, and expectations. Often, we carry lingering worries, whether it's stress about work, concerns about relationships, or the need to control things beyond our reach. These worries prevent us from fully relaxing and falling into the stillness required for deep rest. By consciously choosing to release them, we clear the space for peace and relaxation to take over. Each night offers a chance to practice surrender. Surrendering doesn't mean giving up, it means trusting. It's an act of faith, a moment when we let go of our need to control everything, allowing life to unfold naturally. This trust is crucial. Life will continue with or without our grasping at it. The world will move forward, and we can let it do so, while we rest. This moment of surrender brings about a profound relaxation of the mind and body, opening the door for peaceful sleep to enter. Sleep is much more than just closing our eyes. It is a sacred practice. It is the body's way of restoring itself, the mind's way of clearing space, and the soul's way of returning home. It is a necessary time for healing and rejuvenation. In Buddhist practice, we understand that everything in life is cyclical, and sleep is part of that cycle, a time of stillness, followed by a renewal of energy and clarity for the day ahead. When we embrace sleep as a spiritual act, we cease viewing it as a burden or a disruption. We recognize it as part of the natural flow of life. Instead of battling insomnia or demanding that sleep come instantly, we trust that sleep will find us when we stop resisting. This shift in perspective allows us to rest in peace. And through this peaceful rest, we experience renewal, clarity, and energy when we awake. Think of Maria, a woman who had spent decades living a structured, goal-driven life, always chasing the next task and achievement. Yet, in her later years, she found herself struggling with sleeplessness, caught in the whirlpool of her thoughts. But one evening, sitting under the calm moonlight, she realized that the world around her was not rushing to perform its duties. The moon rises and sets naturally, and so does the sun, each in its own time. In the same way, she could trust that sleep would come to her, without effort. That night, Maria tried something different. She stopped forcing sleep and began welcoming it. She whispered, "I trust my body knows how to rest." With this quiet affirmation, she released the need to control her rest. And just as the moon rises in its time, Maria's sleep found her naturally, gently, without struggle. In embracing sleep as an act of surrender, we learn to let go of resistance. We open ourselves to peaceful rest, knowing that sleep will come when we allow it to. When we let go of worry and expectation, sleep becomes a return to our natural state, a state of ease, peace, and renewal. So tonight, give yourself permission to rest. Breathe in peace, exhale tension, and let sleep find you. When morning arrives, greet the new day not with anxiety, but with gratitude for the gift of rest and the opportunity to live fully once again. Each day is a new beginning. And with each new day, we can choose to live with mindfulness, peace, and presence. May you find peace in stillness, comfort in simplicity, and the deepest sleep you have ever known. Let go and rest, knowing that you are cared for in the rhythm of life itself. If this wisdom has touched your soul, then the journey has only just begun. Join us on this path toward deeper peace, where every moment is an opportunity to let go, to surrender, and to embrace the stillness within. Subscribe to Whisper of Age for more timeless insights into mindful living, restful sleep, and the profound wisdom that life offers us quietly, patiently. As you close your eyes tonight, know this: you are not alone. You are wrapped in the gentle, eternal rhythm of life itself. Allow yourself to rest in its embrace, knowing that with every breath, you are renewed. Good night, and may your dreams be filled with peace, clarity, and the quiet strength to walk your path with grace.